The boarding pass was crumpled in my fist, and I couldn't remember buying it. Gate 47. C12A. Destination, somewhere. I didn't look at the screen when I clicked purchase. Didn't care if it was domestic or international. Didn't even pack a bag. I just used the one credit card Bradley didn't monitor. The one I'd hidden in the lining of my winter coat for 2 years, waiting for a moment like this. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The flight attendant smiled as she scanned my pass, that practiced smile that doesn't reach the eyes, and I wondered if she could see it. The purple shadow beneath my makeup on my left cheekbone. The way I held my ribs when I walked. The fact that I was wearing sunglasses indoors at 9 p.m. "Enjoy your flight, Mrs. Carmichael." I flinched at the name. At the Mrs. I wasn't that anymore. I couldn't be that anymore. I moved down the aisle, each step feeling like I was walking through water. My body ached in 17 different places. 3 were new from this morning. 14 were old friends, injuries that never quite healed because there was always a fresh one before the last could fade. 12A window seat. I collapsed into it and pressed my forehead against the cold plastic of the window shade, trying to remember how to breathe like a normal person, trying to convince my lungs that the danger had passed, that I was safe now, that he couldn't follow me onto a plane that was about to taxi in 11 minutes. Except I didn't feel safe. I felt like I was made of glass, and the slightest touch would shatter me into 1,000 pieces too small to ever put back together. The worst part wasn't the pain. It was the shame. The voice in my head that sounded suspiciously like Bradley, asking me who I thought I was. Telling me I'd never make it alone. Reminding me that I had no money, no job, no family who'd take me in after the last time I'd cried wolf and then gone back to him. He was right. Had nothing. But nothing was better than one more night in that house. "Excuse me." The voice came from above, smooth and low, with an accent I couldn't immediately place. Italian, maybe. I didn't look up. I couldn't let anyone see my eyes right now, couldn't let anyone ask if I was okay, because if one person showed me kindness I would break down completely. "You're in the window seat," the voice continued. I realized then that I was half blocking the aisle, my body angled wrong. I shifted, pulling my knees in even though it made my ribs scream, and the man slid past me into seat 12B. Caught only fragments. Black suit expensive. Hands with ink trailing up the knuckles. The scent of something dark and woody like cedar and smoke. He settled beside me without another word, and I was grateful. I didn't want conversation. I didn't want eye contact. I just wanted to disappear into this seat and wake up somewhere far away where Bradley's voice couldn't find me. The plane filled around us. A family with 2 young kids took the row ahead. A businessman across the aisle opened a laptop. Normal people doing normal things, and I was sitting here feeling like an alien who'd forgotten how to be human. I kept my sunglasses on even as the cabin lights dimmed. Kept my arms wrapped around my middle like I could hold myself together through sheer force of will. The man beside me didn't pull out a phone or a book. He just sat there, still and quiet. His presence somehow taking up more space than his body did. I could feel him in my peripheral vision, could sense the way he wasn't looking at me but was somehow aware of every breath I took. Should have frightened me. Strange man, confined space, nowhere to run at 30,000 feet. But I wasn't afraid of him. I was afraid of the phone in my pocket. My phone buzzed. My whole body went rigid. I knew without looking it was him. He'd realized I was gone. He'd checked the browser history, found the flight, and now he was calling to tell me exactly what he'd do when he found me. And Bradley always found me. 3 years ago, I made it as far as my sister's house in Tampa. He'd shown up at her door with flowers and apologies and that smile that made everyone believe he was the victim of some terrible misunderstanding. The phone buzzed again. Then again. My breathing went shallow. The cabin felt too small, the air too thin. I pressed my hand against my ribs and tried to count backwards from 10 like the therapist I'd seen exactly twice had taught me, before Bradley found the receipts and explained very calmly why I didn't need therapy, why I just needed to stop being so sensitive, why everything would be fine if I just learned to listen. "You going to answer that?" I glanced sideways for the first time at the man beside me. He wasn't looking at me. His gaze was fixed forward, his posture relaxed, but something about the way he asked made it clear he already knew the answer. "No," I whispered. "Good." That single word, the certainty in it, made something crack open in my chest. I turned back to the window as the tears came, silent and hot, sliding down my cheeks and ruining what was left of my concealer. "Hey there, my wonderful friend. How's your day going? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story so far. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from." The plane pushed back from the gate, and I felt the momentum shift, felt us moving away from the terminal, away from the city, away from Bradley. With every foot of distance, my chest loosened just slightly. But my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 12 missed calls. 15. 20. I pulled it out just enough to see the screen. Notifications flooded in. Calls, texts, voicemails. Each one a tiny detonation of panic in my nervous system. "Where are you? Ava, this isn't funny. I swear to God if you don't answer me right now. Baby, please. Sorry. Just come home and we'll talk. You're making a huge mistake. You have nothing without me. Nothing." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. The messages kept coming, his tone cycling through the familiar pattern. Anger, threats, apologies, love bombing, then back to rage. The same cycle that had kept me trapped for 5 years. "Give it to me." I blinked, confused, and turned to the man beside me. He was looking at me now, really looking, and I understood immediately why people probably didn't say no to him. His eyes were dark, almost black, and they carried a weight that made me feel simultaneously exposed and protected. "Your phone," he said quietly. "Give it to me. I don't even know you." "No, you don't." Something in his tone told me that was precisely why I should trust him. A stranger had no investment in my marriage, no history with Bradley's charm, no reason to believe his side of things. My hand moved to my pocket before my brain could catch up. I pulled out the phone, still vibrating with another incoming call, Bradley's name flashing across the screen above a photo of us on our wedding day. I looked so young in that picture, so stupidly, impossibly hopeful. The man beside me took the phone from my trembling fingers. He held it for a moment, watching it ring, and something flickered across his face. Anger maybe. Recognition. Then he powered it off and slipped it into his jacket pocket. "You'll get it back when you're ready," he said. "But not today." I should have protested. Should have demanded he return my property. Should have felt violated that a stranger had just taken control of something that belonged to me. But all I felt was relief. The weight I'd been carrying since I woke up this morning on the bathroom floor, blood in my mouth and Bradley standing over me explaining how I'd made him do this, finally lifted just enough for me to breathe. The engines roared to life. The flight attendant demonstrated the safety procedures I'd seen 100 times. The plane taxied toward the runway, and I watched the terminal lights blur past the window. "First time running." His voice startled me. I turned to find him still looking straight ahead, his profile sharp and unreadable in the dim cabin light. "What? Running?" he repeated. "First time, or have you done this before?" I wanted to lie. Wanted to tell him I didn't know what he was talking about, that I was just taking a normal trip like a normal person. But I was so tired of lying. "Third time," I whispered. "He found me the other 2 times." The man nodded slowly, like this confirmed something he'd already suspected. "He won't find you this time. You don't know that. You don't know him." "No." He turned to look at me then, and the intensity in his gaze made my breath catch. "But I know men like him. And I know how to make sure they don't find what they're looking for." There was something in the way he said it, a cold certainty that should have terrified me but instead made me feel safer than I'd felt in years. "Why do you care?" he asked. He was quiet for a long moment. The plane turned onto the runway, engines building to a scream. "Because nobody should look the way you look right now," he finally said. "And the man who made you look that way should pray I never meet him." The plane lifted off the runway, and I watched the ground fall away beneath us, the city lights becoming smaller and smaller until they looked like stars scattered across black velvet. I was airborne. I was free. And the stranger beside me, the one who'd taken my phone and my last connection to the nightmare I'd fled, still hadn't asked my name. But somehow he'd seen everything that mattered. The seatbelt sign dimmed overhead, but I kept mine fastened tight across my lap. Old habit. Bradley used to tell me I was paranoid, that my need to follow every rule to stay small and careful was proof of how weak I was. Maybe he was right. The man beside me unbuckled and shifted in his seat, angling slightly toward me. Not aggressive, just present. "Where's the plane going?" I asked, realizing I still didn't know. "Rome." Italy. I'd never been out of the country. Bradley said international travel was a waste of money, that I wouldn't appreciate it anyway, that I'd just embarrass him with my ignorance. "I don't have a passport," I said numbly. He reached into his jacket, the same pocket where he'd put my phone, and pulled out my wallet. My breath caught. I hadn't even felt him take it. "You do," he said, flipping it open to reveal the passport I'd gotten 2 years ago when Bradley promised we'd go to Paris for our anniversary. We never went. He'd bought a motorcycle instead. I stared at the little blue booklet, photo page showing a version of me that still had hope in her eyes. "How did you?" "You were sitting on it." "Back pocket. Terrible place to keep anything valuable." He handed the wallet back. "You're lucky it was me next to you and not someone else." I should have been angry, violated, but all I could think was that he was right. I was lucky. "Do you have a place to stay in Rome?" he asked. "No. Money." I thought about the credit card I'd used to buy the ticket. Bradley would see that charge by morning. He'd cancel the card, report it stolen, do whatever he needed to do to cut off my resources. "Not really," I admitted. He nodded like he'd expected that answer. "You're going to stay with me." "I don't know you." "That's why it's safe." He doesn't know me either. The logic was sound, but my instincts were screaming. You don't go home with strange men. You don't trust people who take your phone and wallet without asking. You don't let anyone have that much control over you, not again, not ever. But where else did I have to go? "What's your name?" "Yes." "Lorenzo." He didn't offer a last name. "I'm Ava." "I know. I saw your boarding pass when you dropped it getting into your seat." But because of course he'd noticed that. He seemed to notice everything. A flight attendant appeared in the aisle, polished smile in place. "Can I get you anything to drink?" "Water," I said quietly. "Whiskey neat," Lorenzo said. "And bring her a blanket." The attendant nodded and disappeared. I bristled slightly at him ordering for me, making decisions without asking, but then I realized I was freezing. The shock was wearing off, and my body was starting to register everything I'd put it through in the last 12 hours. "You're not afraid of me," Lorenzo said. It wasn't a question. Should I be? Most people are. "What do you do?" He smiled, just barely, and it didn't reach his eyes. "Import and export." 'Twas a lie. Or at least not the whole truth. But I wasn't in a position to judge anyone for their secrets. The flight attendant returned with our drinks and a blanket. Lorenzo took his whiskey and I wrapped myself in the thin airline fabric, trying to stop my teeth from chattering. "When's the last time you ate?" he asked. I tried to remember. Yesterday. The day before. Time had become liquid and strange. "I don't know." He flagged down the attendant again and ordered 2 meals, extra bread, a fruit plate. When the food came, I stared at it like I'd forgotten what it was for. "Eat," Lorenzo said firmly. "I'm not hungry." "Your body doesn't care. Eat." There was command in his voice, the kind of authority I'd learned to obey without question, and my hands moved automatically, tearing off a piece of bread, bringing it to my mouth. Tasted like absolutely nothing. I chewed mechanically, swallowed, repeated. Lorenzo watched me eat the way someone might watch a wounded animal, clinically assessing whether it would survive. "How long were you married?" he asked. 5 years. "How long was it bad?" I wanted to say it wasn't always bad. That there were good moments, That Bradley could be kind when he wanted to be, generous even. And that the problem was me, my inability to just be better, easier, less difficult. But sitting here at 30,000 feet with a stranger who'd shown me more care in 20 minutes than my husband had in years, I couldn't make myself lie. From the beginning, I whispered. I just didn't want to see it. Lorenzo took a slow sip of his whiskey. We believe what we need to believe to survive. That's not weakness. That's adaptation. Something about the way he said it made me think he wasn't just talking about me. Have you ever been married? Yes. No. Why not? Because I've seen what happens when you give someone that much power over you. It never ends well. He was right. God, he was so right. I managed half the meal before my stomach rebelled. Lorenzo didn't push. He just signaled for the attendant to clear the trays and ordered me tea. The cabin lights dimmed further as other passengers settled in to sleep. The family in front of us had finally gotten their kids quiet. The businessman across the aisle was snoring softly. But I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Bradley's face, heard his voice, felt his hands. Tell me about Rome, I said, desperate for a distraction. Lorenzo glanced at me, something shifting in his expression. What do you want to know? Anything. Everything. I've never been anywhere. So he told me. About the Colosseum at sunrise when the tourists haven't arrived yet. About the small trattoria near the Pantheon where the owner makes pasta by hand every morning. About the way the Tiber River looks at night, lights reflecting off the water like scattered gold. He spoke carefully, precisely, painting pictures with his words, and I realized he was doing exactly what I'd done. Distracting me. Keeping me tethered to the present so I wouldn't spiral into the past. You'll like it there, he said finally. It's a good place to disappear. Is that what you do? Disappear? When I need to. What are you running from? His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Who says I'm running? You're on a plane to Rome at midnight with no luggage. Just like me. He smiled then, a real smile that transformed his entire face. You're more observant than you think. I've had to be. The smile faded. Yes, I imagine you have. My eyelids were finally getting heavy, the adrenaline crash hitting me all at once. I tried to fight it, afraid of what I'd dream, but my body had other plans. Sleep, Lorenzo said quietly. I'll keep watch. You don't have to do that. I know. But there was something in his voice that told me he would anyway. That for reasons I didn't understand, this stranger had appointed himself my guardian, at least for the duration of this flight. I let my eyes close. Just before sleep took me, I felt him drape his jacket over my shoulders, adding warmth to the thin airline blanket. And for the first time in 5 years I fell asleep without fear. I woke to someone shaking my shoulder. My eyes snapped open and I jerked back, arms flying up to protect my face, a small sound escaping my throat that I hated myself for. We're landing, Lorenzo said, pulling his hand back immediately. 20 minutes. My heart hammered against my ribs. The cabin was bright now, morning sun streaming through the windows. I'd slept the entire flight. Sorry, I muttered, lowering my arms. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize for that. His voice was hard. Not ever. I nodded and looked out the window. Below us, terracotta roofs sprawled across rolling hills. Boom. I was actually in Rome. The landing was smooth. We taxied to the gate and everyone stood at once, grabbing bags from overhead compartments. Lorenzo stood and I realized how tall he was. At least 6'2". He moved through the crowd like water, people unconsciously stepping aside. I followed close behind, no luggage to collect, nothing but the clothes on my back and the wallet in my pocket. Customs was a blur. Lorenzo guided me through with a hand at the small of my back, never quite touching but always there. His passport got a longer look from the agent, some brief Italian exchanged, but then we were through. The morning air outside the airport was warm and smelled like espresso and diesel fuel. A black car was already waiting at the curb, engine running. This is yours. Yes. A friend's. The driver was a massive bald man with a scar running through his eyebrow. He nodded at Lorenzo, looked at me with undisguised curiosity, but said nothing. We slid into the back seat. The leather was soft, expensive. The kind of car Bradley always wanted but could never afford on his sales manager salary. As we pulled into traffic, my stomach dropped. "My phone," I said. "I need to call my sister. Let her know I'm okay." Lorenzo pulled my phone from his pocket but didn't hand it over. "If you turn this on, it can be tracked. GPS, cell towers, everything. You want him to know you're in Rome." I hadn't thought of that. Of course I hadn't. I'd never had to think like a fugitive before. But my sister will worry. Does she know what he did to you? I thought of Sarah, 3 years older, 2 kids, a husband who coached Little League and kissed her goodbye every morning. The last time I'd shown up at her door with bruises, Bradley had convinced her I was exaggerating, that I bruised easily, that I was just going through something and needed attention. She'd believed him. "No," I whispered. "She doesn't know. Then she's already been contacted by him. He's already told her you've had some kind of breakdown, that he's worried, that if she hears from you she should call him immediately." The accuracy of that scenario made me feel sick. That was exactly what Bradley would do. So I just disappear. Let everyone think I'm dead or crazy. For now. Until we figure out the next move. Like this was somehow his problem too. "Why are you helping me?" I asked for the second time. Lorenzo was quiet as we wound through narrow streets, past ancient buildings and modern shops somehow existing side by side. "I had a sister," he finally said. "She married young. Nice guy, everyone thought. Respectable job, good family." The past tense hit me like a fist. "What happened?" "He killed her." Lorenzo's voice was flat, empty. "Made it look like an accident. She fell down the stairs," he said. "Tragic." Everyone believed him. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be alive. That's why I'm helping you." The car turned down a quieter street, then into an underground garage. We parked and Lorenzo led me to a private elevator. It required a key to operate. "Where are we?" asked as we rose. "My place. Safest location in the city." The elevator opened directly into an apartment that took up the entire floor. Exposed brick, high ceilings, art on the walls that looked original and probably cost more than I'd earned in my entire life. Floor-to-ceiling windows. I noticed them and felt my chest tighten, but I pushed the thought away. "You'll stay in the guest room," Lorenzo said, walking through the space. "That door locks from the inside. Keys in the drawer. You lock it every night if it makes you feel safer." He was giving me control. The ability to keep him out. Something in my chest loosened. "There's clothes in the closet, different sizes. Take what fits. Bathroom's stocked. You need anything else, you tell me." I stood in the middle of his living room feeling completely untethered from reality. 12 hours ago I was in New Jersey. Now I was in Rome in a strange man's apartment with no money, no plan, and a husband who was probably tearing apart our house looking for clues. "I can't pay you back," I said. "For any of this. I'm not asking you to." "Then what do you want?" Lorenzo turned to face me fully, and there was something in his expression I couldn't read. "I want you to stay alive. I want you to heal. And when your husband comes looking, because he will, I want you to let me handle it." Chill ran through me. Handle it how? However necessary. There should have been fear. This man was clearly dangerous, clearly connected to things I didn't understand, clearly capable of violence. But all I felt was relief. "Okay," I whispered. Okay, we'll stay. I'll let you help." It was insane. Reckless. I was trading one controlling man for another, wasn't I? Jumping from one prison into another. Except Lorenzo had given me a locked door. Had asked permission. Had handed me choices instead of taking them away. Maybe that was the difference. "Get some rest," he said. "We'll talk tonight about what comes next." I nodded and moved toward the guest room. paused at the door. Lorenzo. Yes. Thank you. He studied me for a long moment. Don't thank me yet, Ava. This isn't over. It's just beginning. I should have asked what he meant. Should have demanded answers about who he really was, what he really did, what I just agreed to. But I was so tired. I went into the room, found the key in the drawer exactly where he said it would be, and locked the door. Then I collapsed on the bed and let myself fall apart. Outside, through the door, I heard Lorenzo make a phone call in rapid Italian. Caught only one phrase clearly. Find everything about Bradley Carmichael. Everything. And I realized the point of no return wasn't getting on that plane. It was right now. I woke to knocking. For a second I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. Boom. Lorenzo. Running. Ava, it's me. I have food. I unlocked the door. Lorenzo stood there with a tray holding pasta, bread, and wine. He looked different. The suit was gone, replaced by a simple black shirt. More human somehow. What time is it? Yes. 7. You slept 14 hours. I had. My body felt heavy, disconnected. Eat, he said, setting the tray on the small table by the window. Then we need to talk. The pasta was simple but perfect. I ate in silence while Lorenzo sat across from me, watching with that same assessing look. I had someone look into your husband, he said finally. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Bradley Carmichael, 38. Sales manager at a pharmaceutical company. Clean record, not even a parking ticket. Goes to church every Sunday. Coaches youth baseball. Each detail felt like a knife. That was the Bradley everyone else saw. The good guy. He filed a missing persons report 6 hours after your plane took off, Lorenzo continued. Told the police you've been struggling with depression. That you stopped taking your medication. That he's terrified you might hurt yourself. My hands started shaking. That's not true. I've never been on medication. I'm not depressed, I'm being abused. No. But he's building a narrative. Making himself the concerned husband. Making you unstable. Why? Because when he finds you, he needs everyone to believe you came back willingly. That you just needed help. It gives him cover. I set down my fork, appetite gone. You think he'll find me? I think he'll try. Lorenzo leaned forward. Your sister received a call from him this morning. So did your old college roommate. Your former boss. He's reaching out to everyone you've ever known, painting himself as desperate and worried. Sarah will believe him. Probably. But that works for us. The more convinced everyone is that he's the victim, the less they'll be looking at what we're doing. Which is what, exactly? Lorenzo stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets. Building a case. Documentation. Evidence. Enough that when this ends, he can't touch you legally. That could take months. Years. I can't hide here forever. You won't have to. Something in his tone made my stomach drop. What does that mean? It means I have resources. People who can expedite things. What kind of people? He turned to face me. The kind you don't ask questions about. But import and export. I wasn't stupid. I knew what that meant. You're in the Mafia. Lorenzo smiled slightly. That's a very American word. We prefer other terms. But yes, my family has business interests. Some legal, some less so. Does that change things for you? I should have said yes. Should have run. But where would I go? No, I whispered. It doesn't change things. Good. Because I need you to trust me for what comes next. What comes next? Before he could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at it, frowned, and answered in Italian. The conversation was brief, his tone getting sharper with each word. He hung up and looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. What? Yes. Your husband is on a plane to Rome. The room tilted. That's impossible. How would he know? The credit card. He didn't just see the charge, he tracked it. Called the airline, probably bribed someone for passenger manifests. He knows you were on that flight. Panic clawed up my throat. But Rome is huge. He can't just. He's already hired a private investigator. Local firm that specializes in finding people who don't want to be found. I stood, needing to move, needing to do something. Then I'll leave. Go somewhere else. Paris, London, I don't. Running again won't work. He's got resources now, attention on this. You run, he follows. It becomes a pattern. Then what do I do? Lorenzo crossed to me, close enough that I had to look up to meet his eyes. You let me handle this. You stay here, stay hidden, and you let me do what I'm good at. Which is making problems disappear. The weight of those words settled over me. He wasn't talking about legal solutions. He wasn't talking about restraining orders or divorce lawyers. You can't kill him, I said. Why not? Because that makes you a murderer. Because I won't be responsible for. You won't be responsible for anything. This is my choice. No. I stepped back. No, I won't let you do that. Not for me. Lorenzo studied me for a long moment. You still love him. What? No, Part of you does. Or you wouldn't care what happens to him. I wanted to argue, but he was right. Some twisted, broken part of me still remembered the man I thought I married. Still hoped he could change, get help, become someone different. That part of you will get you killed, Lorenzo said quietly. You understand that. I did. I hated that I did, but I did. Just don't kill him, I whispered. Please. Scare him, threaten him, make him leave me alone, but don't kill him. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. He looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. For now. But if he puts his hands on you again, all bets are off. He won't get close enough. No. He won't. Phone buzzed. Not Lorenzo's. It took me a second to realize it was mine, still in his pocket from the plane. He pulled it out and looked at the screen. His expression darkened. What? Yes. He turned the phone to show me. Text message, not from Bradley. From Sarah. Ava, please call me. Bradley showed me the photos. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you before. I'm so sorry. Please just let me know you're safe. Photos. What photos? Lorenzo swiped to open an attachment Bradley had apparently sent to my sister. My stomach turned. It was our bedroom. Trash. Lamp broken, sheets torn, blood on the carpet. It looked like a crime scene. He did that, I breathed. After I left. He destroyed everything and made it look like there was a struggle. Like something violent happened. Lorenzo's voice was ice. He's setting up a narrative where you're either dead or you hurt him. Either way, he's the victim. My knees went weak. I sat down hard on the bed. He's not going to stop, I said. He's never going to stop. No, Lorenzo agreed. Men like him don't stop. They escalate. Then what do I do? Lorenzo pocketed the phone and looked at me with something that might have been regret. You prepare for war. 3 days passed in Lorenzo's apartment like living in a dream. He taught me Italian phrases. Showed me how to make proper espresso. Sat with me in the evenings while I slowly remembered what it felt like to exist without fear. I started to believe I might actually be safe. That was my first mistake. On the 4th morning, I woke to voices in the living room. Lorenzo's and someone else's. Woman. I cracked open my door. She was beautiful. Dark hair, expensive clothes, the kind of effortless elegance I'd never possessed. She was speaking Italian too fast for me to follow, her tone sharp. Lorenzo's response was calm but firm. The woman said something else. Then her eyes found me standing in the doorway. Her expression changed. Something cold and assessing. So this is her, she said in perfect English. The stray you picked up. Chiara, Lorenzo said, a warning in his voice. What? I'm not allowed to meet your new pet project. I should have gone back in my room, locked the door, but pride kept me standing there. I'm Ava, I said. I know who you are. Everyone knows. Lorenzo hasn't shut up about you for days. She turned back to him. This is stupid and you know it. She's going to get you killed. That's my problem. No, it's the family's problem. You're making enemies over some random American woman who... Careful, Lorenzo interrupted, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Chiara laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're unbelievable. 2 weeks ago you didn't know she existed. Now you're ready to start a war over her. If necessary. She shook her head and grabbed her purse. Your father is going to hear about this. Tell him whatever you want. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I stood there processing. Who was that? My cousin. She works for the family business. She's right though, isn't she? I'm putting you in danger. Ava. No, she is. I should leave. I should. My phone, the one Lorenzo still kept, started ringing in his pocket. He pulled it out and his expression went dark. It's him, he said. Bradley. Calling my phone. How did he even get this number back online? Don't answer it, I said. Lorenzo hit answer and put it on speaker. Ava. Bradley's voice filled the apartment. Familiar. Terrifying. Baby, I know you can hear me. I know you're there. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. I'm in Rome, Bradley continued. Beautiful city. Can see why you chose it. But you can't hide forever. And your new friend. The Italian guy. I know who he is. I know what he does. You think you're safer with a criminal than with your own husband. Lorenzo's jaw clenched but he stayed silent. Come home, Ava. Come home and we'll forget this ever happened. Forgive you. I know you're scared, I know you're confused, but I love you. I love you so much. Just tell me where you are. The manipulation was so obvious, so textbook, but hearing his voice still made my chest tighten. She's not coming home, Lorenzo said. Silence on the other end. Then Bradley laughed. So he does exist. Listen, friend, I don't know what she told you, but my wife has problems. Mental health issues. She gets confused, makes up stories. I'm sure she seems sweet, vulnerable even, but she needs help. Professional help. Just tell me where you're keeping her and I'll handle it from here. She's not going anywhere with you. That's not your decision to make. It is now. Another pause. When Bradley spoke again, his voice had changed. The mask was slipping. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Have lawyers, resources, connections. I will bury you in legal problems so deep you'll never see daylight. And Ava, baby, when I find you, and I will find you, we're going to have a very long conversation about loyalty. The threat was clear. I felt my old fear rising, choking me. Lorenzo ended the call. He's bluffing, he said. No, he's not. Bradley doesn't bluff. He just waits until he can hurt you worse than you expect. He's not going to. The apartment door exploded inward. Not literally. But it burst open, and suddenly there were men everywhere. Dark suits, official-looking badges. Polizia. Everyone on the ground. I dropped immediately, hands over my head, every instinct from living with Bradley kicking in. Lorenzo moved slower, hands visible, calculating. An officer grabbed me, hauled me up. Ava Carmichael. I couldn't speak. Your husband filed a report. Says you were kidnapped. Says this man is holding you against your will. That's not true, I managed. I came here willingly. I'm leaving him. You can explain at the station. Come with us. No, Lorenzo said. She's not going anywhere. 2 officers moved to block him. Sir, step back. She's under my protection. She's a foreign national involved in a potential kidnapping. She's coming with us. They pulled me toward the door. I looked back at Lorenzo, panic rising. It's fine, he said, but his eyes told a different story. Don't say anything. I'll have you out in 2 hours. But he was wrong. At the station, they put me in a small room with fluorescent lights and stale air. A detective came in, middle-aged woman with kind eyes. Mrs. Carmichael, I'm Detective Rossi. Your husband is very worried about you. I'm leaving him. I have the right to. Of course you do. But he's shown us concerning evidence. Photos of your home. Signs of violence. He believes you may have been coerced by Lorenzo De Luca. I wasn't. He helped me. He saved me. From your husband. Yes. She slid a folder across the table. These are Mr. De Luca's arrest records. Assault. Racketeering. Suspected involvement in 3 murders, though nothing was ever proven. This is who you chose to trust. I stared at the papers. I'd known Lorenzo was dangerous. But seeing it laid out like this, official and documented, made it real in a way it hadn't been. He never hurt me, I whispered. Not yet. But men like him don't help people for free. What does he want from you, Ava? Nothing. He just. Did he ask you to do anything? Carry anything? Sign anything? No. Has he been controlling? Monitoring your movements? Keeping you isolated? Every question was designed to make Lorenzo sound like Bradley. To blur the lines between protection and possession. It's not like that, I said. Then what is it like? I couldn't answer. Because I didn't actually know. I'd known Lorenzo for 4 days. 4 days and I'd handed him my entire life. God, what had I done? Your husband is outside, Detective Rossi said gently. He just wants to talk to you. 5 minutes. If after that you still want to leave him, we'll help you. We'll connect you with resources, shelters, legal aid. But at least hear him out. No. I can't see him. I can't. The door opened. And Bradley walked in. He looked terrible. Eyes red, face unshaven, clothes rumpled. The picture of a man destroyed by worry. Ava, he breathed. Oh God, Ava. He moved toward me and I flinched back so hard I hit the wall. Detective Rossi saw it. Her expression shifted. Mr. Carmichael, please sit down. I just want to hold my wife. Sit down. He sat, hands on the table, and I saw them trembling. Real tears in his eyes. I'm so sorry, he said. For everything. You were right to leave. I have problems, anger problems, and I'm getting help. I've already started therapy. I found a program, intensive treatment, and I'm going whether you come home or not. I was wrong. Everything you said, you were right. I'd never heard him say those words before. Never heard him take responsibility. I don't believe you, I whispered. I know you don't. But give me a chance to prove it. Come home, not to me but to the States. Stay with Sarah. I won't contact you. I'll give you space. Just please don't stay with him. That man is dangerous, Ava. He's using you for something, and when he's done. He's not using me. Then what does he want? I couldn't answer. Because I still didn't know. Bradley leaned forward. Please, baby. Love you. I know I have a terrible way of showing it, but I do. And I can't lose you. I can't survive losing you. For one horrible second, I almost believed him. Almost fell back into the pattern of hoping this time would be different. Then I saw it. The smallest flash of something in his eyes. Triumph. Victory. He thought he was winning. No, I said. I'm not going anywhere with you. His expression hardened for just a fraction of a second before the mask came back. Okay, he said softly. Okay. Then I'll wait. However long it takes. I'll wait for you. Detective Rossi stood. Mrs. Carmichael is free to go. We have no grounds to hold her. She's free to go back to a wanted criminal. Bradley demanded. She's free to make her own choices. Bradley stood too, and I saw the rage simmering under his controlled exterior. Fine, he said. But when something happens to her, when he shows his true colors, it's on you. He left. I sat there shaking. You're sure about this? Detective Rossi asked. About going back to De Luca. I wasn't sure about anything anymore. But I knew I wasn't going back to Bradley. Yes, I said. She drove me back to Lorenzo's building herself. Walk me to the door. If you need help, she said, handing me a card. Real help. Call me. I went upstairs expecting Lorenzo to be waiting. The apartment was empty. I found the note on the kitchen counter. My father has called me back to Sicily. Family emergency. I'll return as soon as I can. You're safe here. Don't open the door for anyone. I read it 3 times. He was gone. I was alone in a foreign country with no money, no phone, and a husband who now knew exactly where I was. I walked to the window and looked out at the Roman streets below. And for the first time since this started, I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. If I just traded one prison for another. If I was ever going to be free. My phone buzzed. The one Lorenzo left. A text from an unknown number. Saw your boyfriend leave. Looks like you're all alone now. See you soon, baby. Bradley. He was watching the building. And Lorenzo was gone. I sank to the floor and finally let myself realize the truth. I wasn't safe. I was never going to be safe. And I had no idea what to do next. I spent the first hour on the floor, staring at that text message until the screen went dark. Then I got up and checked every lock, every window, every possible entry point. The apartment that had felt like sanctuary now felt like a cage. Bradley was out there, watching, waiting. And Lorenzo was gone. I tried his number. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same result. The panic started in my chest and spread outward until I couldn't breathe properly. I paced the apartment, circling the same rooms over and over, my mind spinning. This was my pattern. This was what I always did. Run to someone stronger. Hand them control. Wait for them to save me. With Bradley, I'd thought marriage would save me from loneliness. Then I'd thought his love would save me from his anger. Then I'd thought if I just became better, smaller, quieter, he would save me from himself. Never worked. And now I'd done it again with Lorenzo. Different man, same pattern. I'd made him responsible for my safety, my choices, my entire life. And the second he left, I fell apart. I sank onto the couch and forced myself to sit with that truth. Really sit with it. I was 29 years old and I had no idea how to save myself. The apartment was silent except for the sound of Rome outside the windows. Car horns. Distant conversations. Life happening to people who knew how to live it. My phone buzzed again. I can help you, Ava. I'm in the cafe across the street. Just come down and we'll talk. No pressure. I promise. Bradley. The smart thing was to ignore it. Stay inside. Wait for Lorenzo. But how long would that be? Days. Weeks. And what was I supposed to do? Hide in this apartment forever while 2 men decided my fate between them? Another text. I know you're scared. I know I've given you reasons to be. But I meant what I said at the police station. I'm getting help. Real help. I just want a chance to prove it. 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. 10 minutes. In public. What could he do in 10 minutes in a crowded cafe? I stood and walked to the window. Looked down at the street. I could see the cafe he mentioned. Tables outside. People everywhere. Maybe. This was stupid. Reckless. Everything Lorenzo had warned me against. But I was so tired of being afraid. So tired of running and hiding and waiting for men to make my decisions. I grabbed my jacket. Unlocked the door. Took the elevator down. My hands shook the entire way. The cafe was exactly where Bradley said. I saw him immediately, sitting at a corner table. 2 espressos already waiting. He saw me and stood. Didn't approach. Just waited. I made myself walk over. Sat down across from him with the table between us like a barrier. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. I didn't respond. Just watched him looking for the signs. The tells that meant his mood was shifting. You look good, he said. Rested. What do you want, Bradley? To apologize. Really apologize. Not the way I used to, where I just said whatever would make you come back. I mean it this time. You've meant it before. I know. He ran a hand through his hair. I know I have. And I know why you don't believe me. But Ava, losing you broke something open in me. Made me see what I've become. What I've done. He pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot. A therapy appointment confirmation. Tomorrow morning. Dr. Patricia Chen, specializing in anger management and domestic violence intervention. I'm going, he said. Whether you take me back or not. 'Cause you were right. About everything. I wanted it to be a lie. Wanted to find the angle, the manipulation. But he looked sincere. Broken. Real. I'm not coming back, I said. I know. I want a divorce. He flinched but nodded. Okay. If that's what you need. It is. Then I won't fight it. I'll sign whatever papers you want. I'll leave you alone. He leaned forward slightly. But please just don't stay with him. With Lorenzo. He's not a good man, Ava. I know I'm not either. I know I have no room to talk, but he's dangerous. The things I've learned about him, the people he's connected to. He's never hurt me. Not yet. But men like that, they don't do things out of kindness. He wants something. And when you can't give it to him, or when you become a liability. Stop. I'm serious. Come back to the States. Not with me. Stay with Sarah or I'll pay for an apartment, whatever you need. Just get away from him before it's too late. For the first time, I heard genuine fear in Bradley's voice. Not for himself. For me. It was the fear I'd always wanted him to show. Concern that felt real. And I hated that it was working. I need to think, I said, standing. That's all I'm asking. Just think about it. He didn't try to touch me. Didn't follow me. I'll be in Rome for 2 more days. Here's my hotel information if you change your mind. He slid a card across the table. I took it without knowing why. Then I left. I made it halfway back to Lorenzo's building before I had to stop, leaning against a wall, trying to remember how to breathe. What was I doing? Bradley had just offered me everything I'd wanted. Apologies. Therapy. Freedom to leave. No fight, no drama. And Lorenzo had left me alone in a foreign country with no explanation and no timeline for return. Which man was really dangerous? My phone rang. Not Bradley this time. A video call from an unknown number. Answered. Lorenzo's face filled the screen. Behind him I could see stone walls, dim lighting. Are you okay? He asked immediately. Where are you? Sicily. My father had a stroke. I'm handling family business until he recovers. When are you coming back? He hesitated. I don't know. It's complicated. Bradley is here. He's watching your building. He texted me. Lorenzo's expression darkened. Did you respond? I should have said no. Should have lied. I met him. At a cafe. He wanted to talk. Silence. Lorenzo's jaw worked. He could have taken you, he said finally. He didn't. He just wanted to apologize. And you believed him. I don't know what I believe anymore. The words came out sharper than I intended. You left. You said you'd protect me and then you just left. My father is dying. I know. And I'm sorry. But I'm here alone and Bradley is offering me a way out and you're hundreds of miles away telling me what not to do. What way out? Divorce. No contest. He'll let me go. At what cost? Why does there have to be a cost? Why can't he just be genuine for once? Lorenzo leaned closer to the camera. Because men like him don't change. They adapt. They find new strategies. But they don't change. And what about men like you? Question hung between us. I never claimed to be anything other than what I am, Lorenzo said quietly. Which is what? My protector. My jailer. What am I to you, Lorenzo? He was quiet for a long moment. Behind him, someone called his name in Italian. I have to go, he said. Don't leave the apartment. Don't see him again. I'll be back as soon as I can. And if you can't, what am I supposed to do? Just wait indefinitely while you handle your life and Bradley handles his and I just exist in between? Ava. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not being the thing that gets protected and moved around and decided for. I'm done. What does that mean? It means I'm making my own choices now. Whether you like them or not. I ended the call. Stood there in the street shaking. For the first time in my entire adult life, I'd set a boundary. Said no. Claimed my own agency. Felt terrifying. Felt right. I looked down at the hotel card Bradley had given me. Then at Lorenzo's building across the street. 2 different prisons. 2 different men offering 2 different versions of safety. But maybe safety wasn't what I needed. Maybe what I needed was to finally learn how to stand on my own. I pulled out Detective Rossi's card. The one she'd given me at the station. And I made a choice that belonged only to me. Called her. Detective Rossi met me at a small bar 2 blocks from Lorenzo's apartment. She ordered wine. I ordered water. You called, she said. That means something changed. I need help. Real help. Not from Bradley, not from Lorenzo. From someone who doesn't have an agenda. She studied me over her glass. Everyone has an agenda, Ava. Mine is keeping women alive. What's yours? Survival. Freedom. I don't know anymore. Those are good starts. She set down her glass. Tell me what you need. I need to know my options. Legal options. Can I divorce Bradley from here? Can I stay in Italy? Can I work? Have nothing. No money, no documents except my passport. You can file for divorce remotely. It'll take time, but it's possible. As for staying in Italy, that's harder. Your tourist visa expires in 87 days. After that, you'd need sponsorship or asylum. Asylum. If you can prove credible fear of returning to your home country due to domestic violence. It's a long process. Uncertain outcome. My chest tightened. Nothing was simple. Nothing was easy. What about Lorenzo? Asked. Is he really as dangerous as Bradley says? Rossi's expression shifted. Lorenzo De Luca is the son of Salvatore De Luca, one of the most powerful crime bosses in southern Italy. He's been arrested 6 times. Never convicted. Witnesses disappear. Evidence vanishes. He's intelligent, ruthless, and very good at what he does. Which is whatever the family needs. Enforcement. Negotiation. Occasionally, removal of problems. The clinical way she said it made my stomach turn. You mean murder? I mean I can't prove anything. But yes, that's the implication. I thought about Lorenzo's hands. The way he moved. The certainty in his voice when he'd said he knew how to make problems disappear. Has he ever hurt women? Asked. Not that I know of. His reputation is actually unusual in that regard. He doesn't touch civilians. Doesn't allow his associates to either. There was an incident 5 years ago where one of his father's men assaulted a woman. Lorenzo personally put him in the hospital. That tracked with everything I'd seen. But it didn't make him safe. So both men in my life are dangerous, I said quietly. Just in different ways. Yes. And you're caught between them. Rossi leaned forward. But here's what I know that you might not. You have more power than you think. How? Bradley can't force you to return. Italy won't extradite you for a marriage dispute. And Lorenzo can't keep you if you choose to leave. You're not property, despite what both of them might believe. So what do? You decide what you want. Not what's safest. Not what either of them wants. What do you want? No one had asked me that in so long I'd forgotten how to answer. I sat there, silent, searching for something true. I want to not be afraid anymore, I finally said. Then you need to face the fear. Not run from it. Not hide behind someone stronger. Face it. I don't know how. Yes, you do. You got on that plane alone. You've survived 5 years of hell. You're stronger than you believe. My phone buzzed. A text from Bradley. Please come to the hotel. I have something to show you. Something you need to see. Showed Rossi. She frowned. Could be a trap. Or it could be important. You want to go. I did. I hated that I did, but I did. Some part of me still needed closure. Still needed to look Bradley in the eye and understand how we'd gotten here. Come with me, I said. If you're there, he can't try anything. Rossi considered. All right. But we do this my way. You stay visible. You stay safe. The hotel was nice. Not extravagant but nice. Bradley had a room on the 4th floor. He opened the door looking surprised to see Rossi with me. I brought a friend, I said. I can see that. He stepped back. Come in. The room was standard. Bed, desk, window overlooking the street. On the desk was a laptop, open to a paused video. What is this? Yes. Something I found. Something you need to see before you make any decisions about who to trust. He pressed play. The video was security footage. Black and white, grainy. A restaurant or bar. The timestamp said 3 days ago. Lorenzo was on screen, sitting at a table with 2 other men. One I didn't recognize. The other made my breath catch. Bradley. That's impossible, I said. Keep watching. On the video, Lorenzo and Bradley talked. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language was calm. Professional. At one point, Lorenzo slid an envelope across the table. Bradley opened it, counted what looked like cash, and nodded. The video ended. I stared at the screen, my brain refusing to process what I'd just seen. This is fake, I said. It has to be. I thought so too. So I had it verified. It's real, Ava. Your protector and your husband had a meeting 3 days before you ran. Before you even got on that plane. The room tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying this whole thing might have been a setup. I'm saying Lorenzo De Luca didn't find you by accident on that plane. I'm saying you need to ask yourself why a mafia boss would help a random stranger, and what he might have been paid to do. Well, no, that didn't make sense. But the video was right there. What did you pay him for? I asked Bradley, my voice barely working. I didn't pay him anything. That's him paying me. Look closer at who's handing over the money. I looked again. He was right. Lorenzo was paying Bradley. Why would he pay you? Bradley's expression was genuinely confused. I don't know. I didn't even know this meeting happened until my investigator found the footage. I thought maybe he was paying me to stay away from you. But that doesn't make sense either because this was before you left. My mind raced through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Rossi stepped forward. Can I see that footage? Bradley handed over the laptop. She watched it twice, her expression unreadable. This is from a known De Luca family establishment, she said. That third man is Antonio Russo, one of Salvatore's oldest associates. Whatever this meeting was about, it was family business. What kind of business involves my husband? Yes. No one had an answer. My phone rang. Lorenzo. I stared at it, my hand shaking. Answer it, Rossi said. Ask him directly. Answered. Put it on speaker. Ava, where are you? Lorenzo's voice was tight with concern. Bradley's hotel. Silence. Then get out of there. Right now. Not until you tell me the truth. Why were you meeting with my husband 3 days before I got on that plane? The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. It's not what you think, he finally said. Then what is it? I can't explain over the phone. You need to trust me. Trust you. You've been lying to me since the moment we met. I've been protecting you. From what? A situation you created. Ava, listen to me very carefully. Bradley is not who you think he is. That meeting was about him, not you. I didn't even know you existed then. Then why were you paying him? Another pause. I wasn't paying him. He was returning money he owed to my family. Money he stole. I looked at Bradley. His face had gone pale. That's a lie, Bradley said into the phone. I've never stolen anything from you. Tell her about the pharmaceutical shipment, Bradley. The one you rerouted from our distribution network 6 months ago. The one you sold independently and kept the profit from. I don't know what you're talking about. 50 kilos of oxycodone. Street value about $2 million. You used your position at the pharmaceutical company to redirect our shipment and sell it yourself. Then you vanished the money. My head was spinning. You're a drug dealer. No, Bradley said quickly. Ava, this is insane. I'm a sales manager. I don't have access to that kind of. You had a contact in shipping, Lorenzo's voice cut through. Eduardo Vega. He helped you falsify the paperwork. We found him 2 weeks ago. He told us everything before he died. Before he died. The casualness of it made my blood run cold. You killed him, I whispered. He stole from my family. There are consequences for that. And what about Bradley? What were you planning to do to him? Silence. Lorenzo. What were you planning to do to my husband? What he deserved. The pieces started falling into place. The wrong, horrible pieces. The meeting, I said slowly. You told him to pay back the money or else. And then coincidentally days later, I happened to sit next to you on a plane to Rome. What are the odds of that? Ava. Did you put me in that seat? Did you arrange this? It's complicated. Answer the question. Yes. His voice was flat. I knew Bradley had a wife. I knew tracking him meant watching everyone connected to him. When you bought that ticket, my people flagged it. I made sure I was on that plane. The floor dropped out from under me. So this whole time, everything you've done, it was never about helping me. It was about getting to him. At first, Lorenzo admitted. But then I saw what he'd done to you. The bruises, the fear. And everything changed. Liar. I'm telling you the truth. Yes, I used you to get close to him. But once I understood what kind of man he was, what he'd done to you, it stopped being about the money. It became about keeping you safe. While planning to kill my husband. He deserves to die. For what he did to you and for what he stole. Bradley moved toward the door. Rossi blocked him. Everyone stays put, she said, her hand moving to her weapon. You're all insane, Bradley said. Ava, please. We need to go to the embassy right now. These people are dangerous. You stole from the Mafia, I said, turning to him. Are you stupid or suicidal? I didn't steal anything. He's making this up to justify whatever sick plan he has. My phone was still connected. I could hear Lorenzo breathing. Ava, he said quietly. You have to choose. Come back to the apartment and I'll explain everything. Or stay with him and the police. But decide now, because in about 3 minutes, this hotel is going to be surrounded by my family's people, and I can't protect all of you. Is that a threat? Rossi demanded. It's a reality. Bradley stole from us. The family wants him. I've been holding them off, but I'm not there, and they're out of patience. As if on cue, the hotel fire alarm went off. Rossi swore. That's them. They're clearing the building. We have to go, Bradley said, grabbing for me. I stepped back. Away from both men. Ava, please. Lorenzo's voice through the phone. Trust me one more time. Trust you. You've lied about everything. Not about wanting to keep you safe. Never about that. The hotel corridor filled with confused guests evacuating. I looked at Bradley, the man I'd been married to for 5 years. Then at the phone in my hand, connected to the man who'd saved me and used me in equal measure. And I realized Detective Rossi was right. I had more power than I thought. 'Cause they both needed me. Bradley needed me as a shield, proof he was just a family man caught in something beyond his control. Lorenzo needed me to justify his actions, to prove he was more than just an enforcer collecting a debt. They both needed me. Which meant I had leverage. Detective, I said calmly. Can you get us out of here safely? Depends on where you want to go. I thought about Lorenzo's apartment. About Bradley's hotel. About every choice that had led me here. The embassy, I said. American embassy. Right now. Ava, no, Bradley started. Ava, that's a mistake, Lorenzo's voice. I hung up on Lorenzo. Looked at Bradley. You're coming too. You're going to tell them everything. About the drugs, about the DeLucas, about all of it. And then you're going to sign divorce papers and disappear from my life forever. If I do that, they'll kill me. Then you should have thought of that before you stole from the Mafia and used me as cover. Rossi smiled grimly. I'll call for backup. Let's move. We made it to the street as black cars pulled up to the hotel. Men in suits got out, moving with purpose. Rossi flashed her badge, pushed us into her car and drove. In the rearview mirror, I watched the DeLuca men enter the hotel, searching for a target who was no longer there. My phone rang again and again. Lorenzo, desperate. I turned it off. For the first time since any of this started, I was making a choice that belonged only to me. And I had no idea if it was the right one. But it was mine. The American embassy was a fortress of bureaucracy and safety. Rossi walked us past security, through corridors that smelled like coffee and printer toner, into a small conference room with American flag in the corner. Wait here, she said. I'm calling the consular officer and the attaché. This is beyond local police now. Left. The door locked behind her. Bradley and I sat on opposite sides of the table. You realize what you've done, he said quietly. You've signed my death warrant. You signed it yourself when you stole from them. I didn't have a choice. I was desperate. There's always a choice. He laughed bitterly. That's rich coming from you. You've done nothing but let other people make choices for you since the day we met. Not anymore. Right. This is you taking control. Hiding in an embassy while the Mafia hunts me and your boyfriend plans God knows what. He's not my boyfriend. No. Then what is he? Your savior. Your next mistake. Bradley leaned forward. You think you know him because he was nice to you for a few days? I've seen his file, Ava. The things he's done. He's a killer. And you were just a tool. So were you using me as cover while you played drug dealer? His jaw tightened. I was trying to get us out. Out of what? Debt. The kind you don't just walk away from. He ran his hands through his hair. 5 years ago, before we got married, I made a bet. A stupid, desperate bet with the wrong people. When I couldn't pay, they owned me. They made me work for them. Redirecting shipments, falsifying records. I didn't want to, but they threatened you. Said if I didn't cooperate, they'd hurt you to get to me. I stared at him. You're saying you abused me to protect me? No. No. The abuse was real. That was me. My anger, my problems. I'm not making excuses for that. His voice cracked. But the pharmaceutical thing, the stealing, that was me trying to get enough money together to buy us both out. To disappear somewhere they couldn't find us. By stealing from an even more dangerous family. The DeLucas weren't supposed to find out. I had it planned perfectly. But someone talked, and then Lorenzo came looking, and then you ran, and everything fell apart. Part of me wanted to believe him. Wanted to find some nobility in his horrible choices. But I'd spent 5 years finding excuses for him. None of that changes what you did to me, I said. The bruises. The fear. The years of my life you stole. I know. So why should I care if they kill you? He met my eyes. Because despite everything I know you. You're not a killer. You don't have it in you to let someone die. Even someone who hurt you. He was right. I hated that he was right. The door opened. A woman in a sharp suit entered, followed by a man with a military bearing. Mrs. Carmichael, I'm Consular Officer Davies. This is Agent Morrison from the DSS. We understand you're seeking protection. He nodded. From your husband. From everyone. For the next hour I told them everything. The abuse. The flight. Lorenzo. The meeting. The drug theft. Bradley confirmed the parts he could. Denied nothing. Davies took notes. Morrison listened with the expression of someone who'd heard worse but not by much. This is complicated, Davies finally said. You're a U.S. citizen seeking asylum from a domestic violence situation, which we can help with. But you're also entangled with organized crime in a foreign country, which complicates things significantly. I didn't ask to be entangled. No, but you are. And Mr. DeLuca has resources. If he wants to find you, embassy walls won't stop him forever. So what are my options? We can arrange transport back to the United States. Witness protection if you're willing to testify about what you know regarding the drug theft. I don't know anything useful. You know Lorenzo De Luca personally. You've been inside his organization. That's valuable. The thought of testifying against Lorenzo made my stomach turn. Despite everything, despite the lies, he'd never hurt me. Never raised a hand. Never made me feel the way Bradley had. I need to think. You have 24 hours. After that, we'll need a decision. They left us alone again. Bradley stood and paced. If you testify, they'll kill both of us. You understand that? The De Lucas don't forgive betrayal. What do you want me to do? I don't know. He stopped. Sorry. For all of it. For being weak, for hurting you, for dragging you into this. You deserved better. It was the first real apology he'd ever given me. Came 5 years too late. My phone, still off, sat on the table between us. I stared at it. Turn it on, Bradley said. What? Your phone. Turn it on. Let's see what he has to say. That's insane. Is it? Right now we're flying blind. We don't know what his plan is, what his family is doing, whether we're actually safe here or just delaying the inevitable. Turn it on. Talk to him. Get information. It went against every instinct. But he had a point. Powered on the phone. It exploded with notifications. 43 missed calls. Dozens of texts. The most recent was from 10 minutes ago. Ava, I know you're at the embassy. I know you're scared. I know you think I used you. But there's something you don't know. Something about Bradley. Something about why he really married you. Call me. Please. I showed it to Bradley. His face went pale. Don't listen to him. He's just trying to manipulate you. Then why do you look terrified? I'm not, My phone rang. Lorenzo. Answered. Put it on speaker. Ava, thank God. I'm here. You have 5 minutes. Are you somewhere private? Bradley is with me. Good. He should hear this too. Lorenzo's voice was cold. Bradley, tell her the truth. Tell her why you really married her. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell her about her father. The room went still. My father is dead, I said. He died when I was 12. No, Lorenzo said. He didn't. The world tilted sideways. That's a lie, I whispered. Your father, Robert Mitchell, faked his death 23 years ago. He was running from the people he stole from. He's been living under an assumed name in the Cayman Islands ever since. How would you even know that? Because my family helped him disappear. For a price. He paid us an information about his partners, and we made sure no one ever found him. My mind raced. My father. Alive. It was impossible. Why are you telling me this? Because 3 years ago, your father made contact with Bradley. Told him that when he died for real, his offshore accounts would go to his next of kin. His daughter. $22 million, Ava. That's what you're worth. I looked at Bradley. He'd gone completely white. Tell me he's lying, I said. Bradley was silent. Tell me you didn't marry me for money I didn't even know existed. It wasn't like that. First, yes, okay. Your father contacted me because I worked at a bank where he had accounts. He wanted someone to watch over you, make sure you were taken care of. He offered me a finder's fee to marry you, keep you stable, keep you safe until he passed and you could inherit. A finder's fee. 200,000. But Ava, I fell in love with you. Really? The money stopped mattering. When did he die? When does the money come to me? Bradley didn't answer. Lorenzo did. 2 years ago. Your father died 2 years ago. The money has been sitting in probate waiting for you to claim it. But you couldn't claim it if you didn't know it existed. And Bradley couldn't access it unless he was your widower. The implication hit me like a train. You were going to kill me. No, Bradley said quickly. I thought about it. I won't lie. When things got bad between us, when I needed the money to pay off my debts, I thought about it. But I could never do it. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a murderer. Just someone who beats his wife and plans her death. So much better. Ava, please. Is that why you came to Rome? One last chance to finish the job. I came because I was trying to protect you from him. Bradley pointed at the phone. The DeLucas found out about your father's money. They want it. That's why Lorenzo was so eager to help you. That's why he's been keeping you close. He's going to marry you, kill me, and take everything. That's not true, Lorenzo's voice cut through. If I wanted the money, I'd have taken it already. Your father owed us a debt. That money is technically ours. Then why didn't you? Yes. Silence. Lorenzo. Why didn't you take the money? Because when I met you, when I saw what Bradley had done to you, you reminded me of my sister. And I realized some things are worth more than money. Like what? Like watching you become strong enough to save yourself. Tears burned my eyes. I didn't know what was true anymore. Didn't know who to believe. Both of you want something from me, I said. Bradley wants me dead so he can inherit. Lorenzo wants me alive but controlled. Neither of you actually sees me. Neither of you cares what I want. That's not fair, Bradley started. Isn't it? Lorenzo, if you really wanted me to save myself, why didn't you just tell me about the money? Why all the games? Because I needed to know you'd be strong enough to survive having it. Money like that destroys people. Makes them targets. I needed to know you could protect yourself before I gave you that kind of ammunition. So you put me through hell as some kind of test. I kept you alive while your husband decided whether to kill you. You don't know that he would have. Yes, Ava. Do. Because 2 weeks before you got on that plane, Bradley purchased the life insurance policy on you. $5 million. The application is public record. I looked at Bradley. Is that true? His silence was answer enough. Something in me broke. Not shattered. Crystallized. Understood. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice steady. Bradley, you're going to sign every piece of paperwork giving me access to my father's accounts. Then you're going to testify against the people you stole from, go into witness protection, and I never see you again. If I do that, the DeLucas will hunt me forever. Then you should have made better choices. I turned to the phone. Lorenzo, you're going to provide the information you have about my father's accounts. Then you're going to go back to Sicily and forget I exist. Ava. I don't want your protection. I don't want your help. I want my life back. My money, my choices, my future. You can't survive alone with that kind of money. You'll be a target for everyone. Then I'll learn. I'll hire security, lawyers, whatever I need. But they'll work for me. Not control me. This is insane, Bradley said. No. Insane was staying with you for 5 years. Insane was trusting Lorenzo. This is the first sane thing I've done in a decade. I walked to the door. Look. Agent Morrison opened it. I need a lawyer, I said. The best one you know. And I need access to my father's estate files. All of them. Morrison looked surprised but nodded. I'll make some calls. I turned back to Bradley and the phone one last time. You both underestimated me. You both thought I was weak, broken, controllable. But you taught me something valuable. What's that? Lorenzo asked. How to be ruthless. I left the room. Behind me, I heard Bradley swearing and Lorenzo calling my name. But I didn't look back. For the first time in my entire life, I walked forward. Into uncertainty. Into fear. Into freedom. And I walked alone. 6 months later. I stood in front of floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Thames, coffee in hand, watching London wake up beneath a grey sky. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent so long avoiding this exact view because it reminded me of wealth I didn't have, of lives I couldn't touch. Now I owned the apartment. Big cash. My phone buzzed. My lawyer. The final papers came through. Carmichael signed everything. The divorce is official. Where is he? Witness protection. Somewhere in the Midwest. New name, new life. He'll never bother you again. Bradley had testified against the people he'd stolen from, given the FBI enough to dismantle an entire distribution network. In exchange, he got to disappear. Sometimes I wondered if he thought about me, if he regretted the choices that led him to that new life, that new name, that permanent exile from everything he knew. Mostly I didn't think about him at all. And the DeLuca family. Yes. No movement. Whatever arrangement you made seems to be holding. Arrangement. That was one word for it. After I'd claimed my inheritance, Lorenzo had sent a messenger. Not a threat. An invoice. His family had helped my father disappear. Had protected him for 20 years. They wanted compensation. Paid it. $7 million. A third of everything I'd inherited. It was worth it for the peace. Thank you, I told my lawyer. Send me the final accounting. I hung up and returned to the window. The apartment was quiet. I'd hired staff, a housekeeper who came twice a week, a driver for when I needed one. But mostly I was alone. Learning to be alone. It was harder than I'd expected. Loneliness had a weight to it, a presence that filled rooms and pressed against my chest in the dark. But it was my loneliness. My choice. My space. I'd started therapy 3 months ago. Twice a week with Dr. Okonkwo, a woman who didn't let me hide behind polite answers. She made me say the ugly things out loud. Made me sit with the shame and the anger and the grief. It was working. Slowly. My hands didn't shake anymore when someone knocked unexpectedly. I could sleep through the night without checking the locks twice. I'd started taking a self-defense class at a gym in Kensington. Last week I'd thrown a man twice my size. Felt incredible. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Mitchell, you have a visitor. Mitchell. My father's name. The name I'd taken back after the divorce. Who is it? Was. He says his name is Lorenzo DeLuca. My coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. I hadn't seen him since Rome. Hadn't spoken to him since the phone call at the embassy. Send him up. I don't know why I said it. Curiosity, maybe. Or unfinished business. I set down my coffee and waited. The elevator opened directly into my apartment. Lorenzo stepped out, and I was struck by how different he looked. Tired. Older somehow. Nice place, he said, glancing around. Thank you for not breaking in. He smiled slightly. I thought about it. Decided you'd probably have me shot. I would. I know. We stood there, two people who'd saved and used each other in equal measure, trying to figure out what came next. How did you find me? Yes. Please. You bought this apartment through a shell corporation, but the corporation was registered to a law firm that does work for 3 other clients with DeLuca connections. It took me 20 minutes. I should fire my lawyer. You should hire better shell corporations. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Why are you here, Lorenzo? He walked to the window, stood where I'd been standing, looked out at the same view. My father died, he said quietly. 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was a bastard who built an empire on suffering. The world is better without him. Then why do you look sad? Because he was still my father. Lorenzo turned to face me. I'm out. Out. The family. The business. All of it. I gave my share to my cousins, walked away. I'm done. I studied his face, looking for the lie. Found only exhaustion. People don't just walk away from that life. They do if they have enough money and enough dirt on the right people to ensure nobody follows. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. I came to give you this. I took it carefully. Inside was a check. For $7 million. I don't understand. The money you paid us. It wasn't a legitimate debt. Your father didn't owe us anything. We extorted him, then extorted you. It was wrong. So this is guilt. This is making things right. I held the check, this piece of paper that represented so much. Blood money, guilt money, apology money. I can't take this. Yes, you can. Lorenzo. Ava, listen to me. I lied to you. I used you. I put you in danger to settle a debt that had nothing to do with you. That money is the least of what I owe you. You also saved my life. Did I? Or did I just delay Bradley until I could figure out how to profit from the situation? Does it matter? I'm here. I'm alive. I'm free. Because of you. Not me. He was right. In the end, I'd saved myself. What will you do now? Yes. I don't know. I've never been anything but what my family made me. I'm 40 years old and I have no idea who I am without them. I understood that feeling more than he knew. You could stay, I said, surprising myself. In London. Figure it out here. Why would you want that? Good question. After everything he'd done, everything I'd been through, why would I want Lorenzo De Luca anywhere near me? Because you saw me, I said quietly. On that plane when I was broken and terrified, you saw me. Not what you could get from me, not right away. You saw a person in pain and you helped. Maybe for the wrong reasons eventually. But in that moment, it was real. It was. And because I think we're the same now. Both of us learning how to be someone new. Both of us alone. Lorenzo crossed the space between us. Stopped close enough that I could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. I'm not a good man, Ava. I'm not looking for a good man. I'm looking for an honest one. I can try to be that. Then try. He reached out slowly, telegraphing his movement, giving me every opportunity to step back. I didn't. His hand cupped my face, thumb tracing the cheekbone that had been purple with bruises 6 months ago. If I stay, I'm not here to protect you. You don't need that anymore. No, I don't. And I'm not here to control you or decide things for you. Good. Because I'd destroy you if you tried. He smiled. I believe you. So why would you be here? To see where this goes. If it goes anywhere. It was the most honest thing he'd ever said to me. Okay, I whispered. Stay. He kissed me then, soft and careful, like I was something precious that might break. But I wasn't breakable anymore. I was steel wrapped in skin, a survivor who'd walked through fire and come out forged into something stronger. When we pulled apart, Lorenzo rested his forehead against mine. I'm going to disappoint you, he said. I'm going to make mistakes. Probably. And I'm going to call you on every single one. I wouldn't want it any other way. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Okonkwo, reminding me of tomorrow's session. I have to go, I said. Therapy appointment. Want company? No. Some things I need to do alone. I understand. He moved toward the elevator, then paused. Ava. Thank you. For what? For giving me a chance to be better than I was. After he left, I stood at the window again, holding the check he'd returned. $14 million remained from my father's accounts. More money than I'd ever imagined having. Blood money. Stolen money. Money my father had accumulated by betraying his partners, then hidden while I grew up believing he was dead. Money Bradley had married me to steal. Money the DeLucas had tried to claim. Money that had nearly cost me my life. I could give it away. Donate it all to domestic violence shelters, organizations that helped women like me. Or I could keep it, use it, build something new. I thought about the girl I'd been 6 months ago. Shaking hands, swollen eyes, boarding a plane with no luggage and no plan. Just the need to disappear. I'd succeeded. That girl had disappeared completely. In her place stood someone new. Someone who'd learned that survival wasn't enough. That freedom had to be claimed, not given. That the only person who could save me was me. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then something made me pick up. Ms. Mitchell. A man's voice, American accent. My name is Robert Chen. I'm an attorney representing your half-sister, Elizabeth Mitchell. She'd very much like to meet you. Half-sister. I'd spent 29 years thinking I was alone in the world. Apparently I was wrong. Tell her I'll think about it, I said. She's actually in London right now. She could meet you today if you're available. I looked around my empty apartment. Looked at the check in my hand. Looked at my reflection in the window, A woman I barely recognized and was just beginning to know. Tomorrow, I said. Tell her tomorrow. I hung up and smiled. 6 months ago, I'd run away from my life. Now I was running toward something. I didn't know what yet. But for the first time I couldn't wait to find out. Outside the window, London traffic hummed. People rushed to jobs and meetings and lives that belonged to them. Somewhere out there, Bradley was living under a new name, paying for his choices. Somewhere out there, a half-sister I'd never known existed was waiting to meet me. And somewhere in this city, Lorenzo was figuring out how to be someone new. Just like me. I picked up my coffee, cold now but I drank it anyway. My hands were steady. My heart was quiet. And I was finally impossibly free. The intercom buzzed again. Ms. Mitchell, there's a package for you. No return address. Bring it up. The elevator delivered a small box, unmarked except for my name. I opened it carefully. Inside was a single item. Plane ticket. Destination, Cayman Islands. Departure. Open. And a note in handwriting I didn't recognize. Some questions can only be answered in person. Your father may be gone, but his story isn't finished. Come find the truth when you're ready. Or don't. The choice, as always, is yours. No signature. I held the ticket, this invitation to another mystery, another risk, another step into the unknown. 6 months ago I would have thrown it away. Too dangerous. Too uncertain. Now I tucked it into my desk drawer. Not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But someday when I was ready I'd take that flight. I'd find those answers. Because I wasn't running anymore. I was choosing. And that made all the difference.